Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. Today we are here with another review. Why is she doing that? Let's get into it in 2 whole seconds and tell you about it, but we're going to talk all things the last 5 years currently playing at the Barn Theatre. So if that interests you at all, stick around and we'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. So we are back with another review. If you want to know why I'm doing that, let's get the spiel out the way. Ready? 3, 2, 1. For every show that I see, I like to do 2 separate videos. Time and willing permitted. The first one of those is the Nervous Guide. The Nervous Guide was the last video. The Nervous Guide is everything you need to know about the show before you go in. So that could be content warnings, sensory warnings, what merch is available, view from my seat, information about the theatre if it's not one I know well. Basically, like I said, everything you need to know about the show before you go. The second video is this is the review. Review is always put in inverted commas because at the end of the day I am in no way professional. I am just someone who likes going to see theatre, and sometimes like this I go and see it alone and therefore do not have the chance to do the post-match or post-show chat about what I enjoyed, what I thought was amazing, who I thought was amazing in the cast, etc, etc. So I film it and put it on the internet, and that is basically what this video is. That was pretty much a minute, and I do think I said like Nervous Guide about 4 times, but that is by the by. So yes, this show, the last 5 years, I do have to say is one of my favourite shows out there. There's something about the music which has been written by Jason Robert Brown. We all know, you may not know, but I am a massive Jason Robert Brown fan. I have loved this show in particular for quite a long time, and this show was the show I almost didn't see. So I kind of alluded to this in the last video, and I'll try and make it brief because at the end of the day this is more about the show itself and not the situation. But I headed down kind of south to see the show in Cirencester. I don't live nearby. I was staying with family and I headed down on the Friday night. The show was on the Saturday. At about 6:30 on Friday night I had an email saying, hey, just so you know, Friday's show had to be cancelled due to cast illness. We are looking into doing it tomorrow. We're hoping to be back. However, we are aware that you have come for quite a distance. I assume it comes from like my booking information. So they were like, just in case you feel like, just in case you need to travel and you don't want to cause any problems, then we will sort it out. You can try and we'll put you in for a different night kind of situation. They finished the email along the lines of, we'll let you know by 11 the next day, but we just wanted to put that into your court. Like, if you can't see it tomorrow night, then we'll move your ticket, which I thought was absolutely phenomenal. And like I said in my Nervous Guide video, I don't think that would have been done by every theatre that would put on a show. Luckily, at 10:59 the next morning, which is the morning of the show, which I was seeing in the evening, there was an email sent to me along the lines pretty much of, the show is on, the cast member is feeling much better, we are excited to see you tonight. And I was like, yes, because I am unbelievably busy at the moment, which is not a brag. It's just a fact, and I knew if I didn't see it when I saw it, I would not be seeing this show, which would gutted me, and I would have somehow had to work out how to get to Bath. Because like I said, this show for me is one of my favourites. I've been aware of it for many years, over 5. That was such a terrible joke. But yeah, I've been aware of this show for a long time. The cast recording from Broadway has been a repeat for me for many years, and it's one that I kind of swoop into, have a fixation about it, and then slowly teeter myself out of that fixation onto a different show. So when I heard that this production had been announced, I jumped on it and didn't look back. The show itself, this show is being co-produced by 2 other theatres alongside the Barn. There is the Reading Rep and also the Theatre Royal Bath. This production, however, is not like any other that I have seen. In the flesh, I've seen this show once before. It was just out of COVID. They put it on at the Garrick, and I loved watching it in person for the first time after so many years. But this one just had a completely different feel to it. The direction of this show, which has been done by Hal Chambers, has shifted the whole show as a whole for me in a way. If you don't know the last 5 years very well, it's basically a 2-person show with 2 characters. One character of Kathy, one character of Jamie. They are in the same relationship, but what happens is they tell it in an opposite direction. So Kathy starts at the end of the relationship and finishes at the beginning of the relationship. So she starts with the sad and ends with the oh my gosh I'm in love phase, and Jamie starts the opposite. So he starts at the beginning of the relationship and ends at the end of the relationship. Like I said, it's normally a 2-person situation. However, this production is slightly different in that the 4 members of the band, which is a piano, a cello, a bass and a bass guitar and a guitar. We're moving on. They are also essentially an ensemble in that they occasionally interact with the 2 characters during their songs, but are also like casting directors and roommates and friends / acquaintances, and one even becomes a lover. So in the past, when I've seen this show and I've seen it with just 2 people taking it in turns, being on stage and not really interjecting with each other apart from in the central song in the middle of this show called The Next 10 Minutes, which is when their stories collide and they then pass each other again. They actually kind of interact with each other a few times throughout other moments. For example, there is one song that's sung by Jamie, which is called the Schmuel song, where he essentially helps bolster up Kathy, who's going through everything, and kind of tells like this Christmas story, and at the end like goes, this is what you need to become who you want to be. Lovely. And previously, like I said, it's just been 1 person on a stage telling this story, but having Kathy actually on the stage at that moment made it slightly different, but also just worked so lovely. And I really enjoyed the different look on this show that I have loved for so long. Another moment I think it worked really well is also a Jamie song, which is Nobody Needs to Know, which is a song that I love but I hate at the same time because of what the context of the song, because it begins with Jamie in bed with someone who is not Kathy. So that happens, spoiler. But actually having someone there physically in the bed and him interacting with them just gave that song again a different like energy, because the words of the song are still the same, but when he is starting the song saying hello kid, good morning, you look like an angel, and there's someone physically next to him, just gave a different experience, and as that song progresses and gets like to its big finish, having someone in the bed there too just made it different and just gave it a different edge. Can you tell I really enjoyed it. Sticking for a short while longer with the creative side, I also wanted to shout out the set and costume design, which was done by Ethan Cheek. Costume was really clever in which to kind of allude to the changing in time between each time each character sings. The outfits changed slightly, maybe a different top, maybe a different pair of shoes. Little things, but it kind of helped to tell you that the story had progressed and it was a different point in the relationship. Big shout out, however, to the cardigan worn in the song See I'm Smiling, I believe it was, because it was literally stunning, to the point someone 2 rows back was like, oh my gosh, that's a gorgeous cardigan, where can I get it? And I was like, I agree, it was stunning. So props to that cardigan / jumper, it was beautiful. The set was for the most part stationary, in which that there were 3 sides of walls essentially, with one portion of the back wall slightly protruding out, which people could get on and off with, but also it had a like mirrored box. I don't know how it worked, but it was just really clever, and at times the light could shine through, giving you a vision of the character at the back. But the key thing I really enjoyed was the small platformed area in the middle of the stage, which is where most of the action took place throughout the show. But also, shockingly, it turned briefly into a bed. I mean, I was not expecting that. When they started lifting, I was like, what is coming out of here? And then it turned into a bed. I was like, ah, amazing, fantastic. I'm gonna move on because I could talk a lot about it. I was like, this is amazing. It's little things. It's the little things for me. I also wanted to mention the lighting design, which is done by Jonathan Chan. Like I said, I think in the last video, for the most part, most of the lighting took place on the kind of squared window-like structures which are scattered around the stage walls. So there was, I think, 2 on the side ones towards the front, and then 2 at the back wall. I could be wrong, but for them, like I said, most part the things that changed and the lighting that changed was through those little square window-like structures, and it was quite dynamic and followed the beat of the music. I just really enjoyed it. Moving on, because I've been rambling, we're like 15 minutes in, let's quickly get through the cast. The cast of this show were small but mighty. So as I mentioned, there is the use of a band which is on stage, but also essentially slight ensemble members. So the band are made up of a cello, which is played by Rebecca Demner, guitar, which is played by Wills Mercado, bass guitar, which is played by Angus Ticker, and piano is played by Ellie Verkirk, who's hopefully pronounced everyone's name correctly. Like I said multiple times, and will say again, I liked this use of the band in this way. It gave it a different perspective to a production I've seen previously, and I just really enjoyed it. We move on to the 2 big hitters, if you will, which is the characters of Kathy and Jamie. They were played respectively by Martha Kirby and Guy Wolfe. I thought they were both amazing individually and together. Seeing them also at times working with each other on certain things, that for different, as I've previously mentioned, the Schmool song, when Jamie is telling this beautiful story about a man who says he has no time left and makes this beautiful dress and such. Having a physical person listening to his story and engrossing herself in the story just made it beautiful, and the chemistry between the two of them was fantastic. I loved it. I have put in my notes, I'm still Team Kathy and I will always be Team Kathy. However, Guy's portrayal of Jamie has kind of softened me to that character a little bit. If you've never seen this show and you're like, what is she talking about? You kind of, unbeknownst to you, you kind of side one way or the other. You either side towards Kathy's life and her transition, not her transition, her like story and how the relationship got to where it was and finished and started how it started, or you kind of side more with Jamie. And yeah, since I first listened to this show, I have always and will always be Team Kathy. But there was something about the way that Guy was as Jamie kind of softened me. He had some redeeming features and he's not wholly bad. But I am still a Team Kathy, just gonna say it. But yeah, if you've seen the show, tell me whose team you're on. We should debate it in the comments. But if you can't tell, I really enjoyed seeing this show again. It is and will always be one of my favourites out there. And yeah, I'm so happy that I got the chance to see this show. Like I said, it is at the Barn Theatre until the 15th of November. It then moves to Bath at the Theatre Royal Bath between the 25th of November and the 3rd of January. If I had chance to get back to this show and go and watch it in Bath, I would, but I physically don't think I have the time, which is upsetting because it's just a great show and I think everyone should go and see it. It's definitely up there as, yeah, as one of my favourites. So please, 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 please go and see this show. It is a good one and I really enjoyed it. But there we are, there we go. I'm going to finish this video because I've rambled on for long enough. All that's left to say is the usual, which is thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you come back for more theatre based fun and frolics another time. We have another set of nervous guides and reviews still to do, so look out for those when they come up and become live. But finally, I'm going to silence myself and say thank you very much, and all that's left to say is this: so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen and goodbye.